If your horse is dull, lazy, behind the leg, unmotivated, and you are sick and tired of pony kicking to try to get them to go forward, I'm going to tell you a little secret. That's actually not going to work. And there are four main reasons that your horse might be so dull motivated or dull, unmotivated, or behind the leg. And I'm going to be divulging to you those four reasons as well as four fixes. None of them have anything to do with spurs, whips, riding harder. And we're going to get right into it so that hopefully we can get your legs a little bit of break and have a little more of a fun ride. So stick around if you want to find out about all of those things. If you're new here, I'm Ruby, and this is my boomerang horse, Olive. I am my whole horse stewardship trainer, and I've been helping horses and humans just like you to have a deeper bond and better relationship for over 10 years. And over those 10 years, I have discovered that there are four main personality types, which we're going to be talking about today. And those four types are going to help us to diagnose why it is that your horse might be so unmotivated or behind the leg and what specific approach is going to work for your horse. One of my biggest beliefs in horsemanship is that there is no such thing as a one-size-fits-all strategy. If anyone tells you that they have the answer and they haven't seen you with your horse, please don't believe them. Sometimes the strategy that works on one horse will just cause more harm with another, and same with riders. And so we want to be really mindful that we're using the right approach for the right pair. And that's what I'm all about, which is what we're going to be talking about today. If you want to find out which personality type you or your horse are so that you can get better use out of this video, there is a personality quiz in the description below. Go ahead and check that out. And let's get into the good stuff. So the first thing we need to do before we even start evaluating how to get your horse more forward is figure out why your horse is so behind the leg in the first place. So I like to always start with just evaluating any horse for pain or discomfort, psychological or physical. So make sure that your saddle fits correctly, that there's no pain or stiffness somewhere in your horse's body that's preventing them from moving forward. And we're going to get into the psychological pain piece in just a moment. But really checking out your horse physically to make sure that there's nothing uncomfortable in your horse's body. Okay, so once we know for sure there's no physical pain in your horse's body, then we're going to jump into the four types. So if your horse is what I call a feeler, the feeler is the type that is highly sensitive, and also they tend to be pretty quiet and they're not super bold or courageous by nature. And so this type, if they're behind the leg or getting stuck, a lot of times it's because they're feeling overwhelmed and they're starting to shut down. So with a feeler, if your horse is starting to, you can almost maybe feel when you're riding them, like there's like simmering and like pressure building, like in a shaken soda bottle underneath you. You can feel that kind of like rising energy, and it needs an outlet. And so the best thing to do is to give it a safe, constructive outlet that is slow and thoughtful. We're going to work on slowing your breathing down, regulating you, sitting heavy in your saddle, being loose, moving fluidly. This is going to allow your horse an outlet to move forward. So what we're doing is we're opening the forward door and saying, this is where I would like for you to go. We're not adding more pressure. They're already feeling a lot of pressure, and that's what's causing them to get pent up. So instead, we're releasing and giving them a space to go forward before they go up, because that's the other place. If the forward door is closed, they're going to want to go up. So it's actually less about control and forcing them to go forward, and actually more about just giving that energy somewhere to go. I like to think about this horse as like an overfilled balloon. And so we don't want to just like let go and let it explode and go all over the place, but we want to give it like a path to travel and kind of channel it and give it an outlet for all that extra air. This might look like long and low stretching. This might look like lots of circles. This might look like even getting off and going back to groundwork. This might look like getting on and off 10 times before you actually get on to ride. So we're really kind of evaluating what this horse needs in this moment to feel the release that they can move forward into. If your horse is an achiever, which is the type that is very ambitious, they're very driven, they're very athletic, and they tend to kind of like get a little carried away. This horse over here, Olive, she is an achiever. This is the type, if they're generally not behind the leg, but if they are, it's usually from a place of like, they've made a different decision and they're feeling opinionated about it. So like an example is the other day I got on Olive, and she's normally pretty willing to go forward, but every now and then she gets kind of stuck, and she was very stuck. And actually to the point that she was like kind of trying to start like spinning by the gate and was thinking about even popping up because she just did not want to go forward. And I was like, this is very unlike her. I'm going to hop off and see what's going on. And her whole back was spasming. Turns out she was in a super intense heat cycle and her back was cramping. And that's why she couldn't go forward. And so oftentimes, if you have an achiever that won't go forward, there's something to them that feels more important than going forward. And they're just trying to like tell you about it. These horses can sometimes get the reputation of being like a bit bossy or opinionated, or marish, or if they're a gelding, they can be kind of the like drama types. But generally, it's because there's something that they're trying to communicate that they feel is more important. And so we have to start from a place of curiosity, figuring out what is it that you're trying to tell me is more important than going forward right now. And then we have to decide as their rider and leader, is that something I'm willing to take into account? Or do I need to just say, no, sorry, friend, we're doing my plan anyway? And so that's the piece that we have to decide, kind of picking our battles, right? The achiever is the classic pick your battles horse. We're not going to go in and just like hammer fist everything because they're going to just get more and more stuck in the mud and more opinionated. But what we're going to do is say, like, willing to compromise on that, not willing to compromise on this. And that's going to be our approach with our achievers to get them more forward. So in a moment like that, it might look like you don't have to walk in the direction I wanted, but you have to go somewhere. You can't go backwards. So we're going to turn a circle instead. It might look like sometimes, a lot of times, the achievers are really the type that tend to really benefit from making the wrong thing hard. And so this is the horse that you might be like, oh, you want to spin? Well, then we're going to spin and spin and spin and spin and spin until you're like, please just let me walk forward, right? And we're going to make the spin. It has to be pretty and correct. You can't just spin for fun. Like, we're going to really do it. Oh, you want to go backwards? Oh, let's back up around a cone in a circle. Let's see if we can do a backwards circle today. Oh, you don't want to go backwards anymore? Great. Let's try going forwards now. And so we're going to make them almost think it's their idea by making the wrong thing so hard for them that they're like, actually, please just let me go forward. Another example is we had a young horse yesterday that when he just travels down the fence, he gets a little like looky and he gets distracted and then he kind of gets into trouble and he's classic achiever energy. And so what we did is we started off with like lots of tiny figure eights at the trot. And we were like, balance, bud, balance, bud, balance, bud. This is hard, balance. And then we added a pole and he had to balance over the pole. And then we were like, hey, what if you just trot down the fence? And he was like, whew, so glad I don't have to balance anymore. I'm just going to trot down the fence. And he was like relieved for that opportunity to just go forward. So those are some ideas for achievers. Then we have our third type is what I call cruisers. The cruisers are the type that are not very sensitive. They're also not very ambitious. They tend to be kind of dull. These are the classic, like unmotivated, like kind of do I have to types. These are the type that you often see like in riding schools where they're like, pony kicking and pony kicking and pony kicking. And the horse is like, fine, I'll take a step. And so with this type, what we want to do is find some way to inspire them. And a lot of times this looks like making them feel like it's not that hard. So what we'll do is like one really good example for a cruiser that I love is we'll go walk a little, we'll trot a little bit. And then just as soon as they start to like open up and trot, we're like, oh, back to the walk again. And then we go trot a little bit. And just as soon as that trot starts to open up, we're like, oh, back to the walk again. And so we leave them wanting more. And then after a few transitions of this, the horse is like, please, can you just let me trot and leave me alone? Like, why do you keep breaking me down to the walk every time the trot gets good? And then suddenly they're very forward and happy to go. And so we're kind of leaving them wanting more, making it their idea to want to go forward. And we can do the same in the canter. We can canter a few steps and then bring it back. And then canter a few steps and then bring it back. And when we do go forward, we're not adding circles, we're not adding poles, there's no obstacles, there's no friction. We're just making it really easy for this horse to go forward, making the easiest thing for them to just keep going in the direction that we want them to go down the long side. So a lot of times I'll like walk the short side, trot the long side, walk the short side, trot the long side. And we do this a couple laps and suddenly the horse is like, please just let me trot. And then we can add in the poles and the circles and the obstacles because now we have their motivation, we have them engaged, we have them like feeling more willing, if that makes sense. Okay, type number 4, we have the voyagers. Voyagers are the ones that want to explore. They want to go do stuff. They're very curious by nature. They're not very sensitive generally, but they are very ambitious. They're very inquisitive. They want to go see stuff, do things. And these horses just get bored. And so if you have a voyager and you find that they are behind the leg, they just want to go do something and pique their curiosity, get them engaged, get them excited about life again. And then I guarantee you can come back and do that work again. So one really great example of this one is I used to have a student who had a very typical voyager. The problem was that his body wasn't holding up. He was getting older. He was aging. He was a thoroughbred. And it was getting harder and harder for him to do his work in the arena. And so what I would do is send her out on the trail before her lesson and have her walk, trot, canter. We have like a little trail loop. It's a very small loop. It only took her a few minutes. Go walk, trot, canter out there, get him opened up on a long rein, let him get excited, let him see the sights, navigate some difficult terrain, really get his interest peaked. And then she'd come in the arena and he'd be totally willing to work. But if she just came in the arena immediately, he would stop and go backwards and was just incredibly difficult because he was bored out of his mind and he was burnt out and he wanted to do something fun. And his body wasn't allowing him to jump anymore, which is what he thought was fun. And so we were able to pivot that and make it a trail warm up. Some horses you can, obviously we don't want to jump before they're totally warmed up, but we can do a really minimal warm up and pop over a couple cross trails to get them excited. Some horses we can, I don't know, start bareback to get them excited. Like find the thing that like sparks interest for your horse and use that as part of your warm up to get them inspired and excited, and then go into the rest of your ride. And I guarantee you, your horse will be more forward. So there's 4 different approaches for you. Again, if you're curious about which type your horse is, you can go take that personality quiz. It's pretty good at diagnosing, I think, actually. I'm pretty happy with how it turned out. So check that out. And then also when you take that quiz, you'll get all kinds of other resources immediately. After taking the quiz, it'll like immediately give you more resources for your horse's personality and your personality and how you mesh and how you maybe don't mesh. So that'll be really helpful for you. And until next time, make sure to hug your horse for me. Good girl. What do you see? Are you going to run me over right now?